Yo, this is Black Ophenum Lion TV in the house. And I'm going to give y'all a quick little war update. And before you join them, you're looking at your screen. Get with us. The only black revolutionary that you need to be part of. There you go, Barron Trump. Sergeant Carter, gonna be on your ass, Barron. Say, look here, Barron Powell. I'm gonna be on your ass 24/7, Barron Powell. You're gonna learn how to march, you ignorant bastard. Did your daddy think you wasn't coming with us?
Now to the Middle East. Tonight, the Iran-backed militant group, the Houthis, in Yemen entered the widening conflict. They launched an unsuccessful missile attack on Israel. 2,500 American Marines arrived in the region today. They're on board with the USS Tripoli, along with 2,500 sailors. CBS's Holly Williams is in Tel Aviv with more on that part of the story. Holly.
Good evening, Jerika. We have more American casualties in a war that's now a month old. 10 American service members were injured yesterday by an Iranian strike on a base in Saudi Arabia, according to U.S. officials.
See?
Two of them very seriously.
They are negotiating. They're begging to make a deal.
No, they're
President
not.
Trump repeated
They
his claim
said
last
they're
night.
not even negotiating.
But
They don't
Iran's
want
leaders
no
are
deal.
eager to
Killed
negotiate
too
an
many of their
end to the
people.
war.
That wasn't
But
war. That
Iran
was
has
murder.
said it's rejected an
That
American
was,
ceasefire
war
plan
crime.
and won't negotiate. Even as
Committed
the country's pummeled
homicide
by
on
American
people.
and Israeli airstrikes, Iran's leaders
You
are
say,
wielding
kill
an
the bad
economic
guys,
weapon that gives them
not
bargaining
in
power.
the war.
With
Well,
strikes and the threat of
I don't even
mines,
want to be
Iran
here.
has effectively
But
paralyzed
before I let my
traffic through the
people
Strait
perish
of
in your
Hormuz,
bullshit,
which normally carries
I'm gonna have
around
to step up to
20%
the
of the
plate.
world's oil. It sent energy prices soaring and piled
Gomer.
pressure on Trump to end the war. If the president can't reach a deal with Iran, he could stop the war unilaterally. But that would leave the Iranian regime with around 1,000 pounds of uranium enriched to 60% and the ability to rebuild its nuclear and missile programs.
We are not going to give it up, not going to give we don't have a flexibility here.
Retired General Yaakov Amadror is Israel's former national security advisor.
President Trump is under a lot of pressure to end the war. If the war ends soon, will that be too soon from Israel's perspective?
If the enriched uranium will not be taken out in the agreement that will be reached between the Americans and the Iranians, the answer is yes.
Jerika, Germany's foreign minister said that he expects representatives from Iran and the US to meet for face-to-face talks in Pakistan in the very near future.
Holly Williams in Tel Aviv.
You didn't start your business to do tax.
Nope. We sure didn't. Ha! How about that? Man, they always trying to get one in on it, bro. Ain't they? I tell you what, I'm here to wake you up. That's the band, y'all. Alvin Keith on guitar. Fried Funk on bass. Super Drummer Tyrone on drums. Yours truly, Black Lightning on vocals. Black Ophenum Lion TV. Damn. That chick never worked. Ha ha!
Tonight, more American troops are in the Middle East as the war expands. CENTCOM announcing the arrival of 3,500 sailors and Marines aboard the USS Tripoli, and more reports of U.S. casualties Several American servicemen were injured, according to the Pentagon, after an Iranian missile and drones slammed into this American airbase in Saudi Arabia Friday, shown here before the attack. In Iran, civilians are finding themselves in American and Israeli crosshairs. Iranian health officials say around 2,000.
Instead of letting them give y'all just propaganda,
still launch attacks
we're going to have to
throughout
show
the
you
Middle
what's
East.
really up.
Like this strike today
See,
on oil
both
tanks at
sides
Kuwait's airport.
have news.
And several have recently
But we
evaded
just don't
Israel's air
report
defenses.
anything that's going to make us look bad. So I got to cover it all before our people get gung-ho and say, yeah, we forgot all about what they did to us. We just going to forget that and go die for them.
Its proxy in southern Lebanon, where Israel is expanding its week-long ground offensive.
I got long memory.
Today, a Hezbollah
I'm not one you want to put a gun in my hand and have me standing behind your ass talking about you going to
Israel's
war.
military accused one of them without
not
evidence
me,
of
Gomer.
working for Hezbollah intelligence. And now another fresh front. The Houthis in Yemen, which are backed by Iran, fired a missile at Israel for the first time this year. Israel says it shot the missile down without any damage or injuries. But the Houthis' attempt throws Yemen into a widening regional war. Iran has fired at all the Arab Gulf monarchies, aimed attacks toward Jordan, Iraq, and Turkey, and with more U.S. troops on the way, this war looks set to widen even further. Now, the Houthis have vowed to continue their attacks against Israel. That's raising some concerns that the Houthis might once again block shipping in the Red Sea, snarling international trade.
The Pentagon reportedly preparing for weeks-long operations in Iran as 3,500 American troops are now
Trump
on
said
the
it was gonna
ground
be over in a
in the
matter of
Middle
minutes.
East.
It comes as we learn more
Just a
about
couple of weeks, we
fallen
done.
IDF soldier
Oh,
from
by the way, didn't he say that he was going to end our wars?
Trey Yates is live and
Didn't he say he was going to bring out the
Good
Epstein
morning,
files?
Trey.
Let me pause that joint. Didn't he say he was going to do a whole lot of stuff that he didn't do? Well, I'll be damned. Well, all them white conservatives that voted for him, I guess when he started letting ICE agents shoot down white folks, that's different. But, you know, if it had been us, y'all would have said, well, the lady tried to run the police over. Well, looks like she might have been trying to get up out of there. And all the dude had to do was step up out of the way. He did step out the way and then shot her dead. Oh, what about the other guy who was in the protest? Oh, just because he got a gun on his side, that means kill him, right? Oh, well, let's stay right there because I'm going to give white America something to chew on for a minute. And let's get back to this. And black America that voted for him too. Let's not let y'all off the damn hook either now. See, somebody has got to tell the truth. I tell you what, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. And no, when you don't have no good people to vote for, you kick their asses out and go with Ross Perot or somebody like that. Hey, if Trump can go for a third term, guess what? So can Barack Obama. Kick his ass, Barack.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. After 4 weeks of
I'm
war
talking about in the
Middle East,
political
conflict
arena
grinds
for you
on.
dumb
Reports
motherfuckers try to
indicate the United States
unsplice
is
or
preparing for
resplice
a
something I
possible
didn't
ground
say.
operation into Iran.
I said
that will
Barack
include
Obama
thousands of U.S. service
run for
members.
president.
We do know the USS
Be a
Tripoli
landslide.
manned with more than 3,500
Kick that
troops,
orange-haired
including 2,500
Philistine
Marines,
out
arrived
of
in
the
the
White
CENTCOM
House.
area of operation this
You don't
weekend.
need him to
If
be
an operation is
48.
ordered to seize Iranian oil facilities
You
or
need
enriched
to be
uranium, it's
gone.
expected that both special forces
Make
and
sure
conventional
that
forces will
Barron
be used.
Trump,
This comes as the United States and Israel launched a series of strikes against Iranian
long,
military
ranky ass, get out
infrastructure
there on
over
the
the
goddamn
weekend,
battlefield.
including hitting Iran's nuclear development facilities.
I'll be hiding his ass in
In
the
Operation
submarine
Rising
somewhere.
Lion, we hit very hard the entire chain.
He ain't gonna
of
go to
nuclear
war. They're gonna
production
say
in
he
Iran.
went to war.
We hit
He gonna
everything
get
from
on the
production
ship,
capabilities
and
to
then
the
before the
factories,
ship pull
all the
off,
components,
he's gonna be
to
off
the
that
centrifuges
joint.
and beams.
Don't put
and
him on
so
an
on.
aircraft carrier. The
entire
first
production
jet
chain
that
was
pulls
hit.
off, that's gonna be
It was
Barron
affected.
heading
It was
on
delayed,
over
but it was
to
not
Trump
completely
Island.
destroyed.
I mean,
With the Israelis looking east, they're also looking north, where
And I
early
don't
Saturday
mean
an
Diddy
unnamed
Island
soldier from
either.
Connecticut was killed in southern Lebanon by a Hezbollah rocket. His name was Moshe Katz, and he was 22 years old. A number of other soldiers also wounded in that same attack. The war has also expanded.
let's
in the past
run that
24
back.
hours
I
to
was
the
running
south.
my
The Israeli
mouth all over top of it because somebody's got to wake up the people.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. After 4 weeks of war in the Middle East, the conflict grinds on. Reports indicate the United States is preparing for a possible ground operation into Iran that would include thousands of U.S. service members. We do know the USS Tripoli, manned with more than 3,500 troops, including 2,500 Marines, arrived in the CENTCOM area of operation this weekend. If an operation is ordered to seize Iranian oil facilities or enriched uranium, it's expected that both special forces and conventional forces would be used. This comes as the United States and Israel launched a series of strikes against Iranian military infrastructure over the weekend, including hitting Iran's nuclear development facilities.
In Operation Rising Lion, we hit very hard the entire chain of nuclear production in Iran. We hit everything from the production capabilities in the factories, all the components, to the centrifuges and beams, and so on. The entire production.
Why he's sending other folks' kids to their demise, and they're coming back in flag draped boxes. You ain't really sound like you ain't really care too much. Made that into a political speech too. But what happens when baby boy come back, contraction or something, hopefully not in a box. He don't say too much, so I don't think anybody got any problem with somebody that don't say shit. You know, I guess he's probably the most disciplined Trump of all time. Or he was cut his tongue out, whatever. But I tell you what, we gonna get back to it. Here we go.
Production chain was hit. It was affected. It was delayed, but it was not completely destroyed.
With the Israelis looking east, they're also looking north, where early Saturday, an IDF soldier from Connecticut was killed in southern Lebanon by a Hezbollah rocket. His name was Moshe Katz, and he was 22 years old. A number of other soldiers also wounded in that same attack. The war has also expanded in the past 24 hours to the south. The Israelis now not just fighting Hezbollah in southern Lebanon and the Iranians, but also the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen, who launched both a cruise and ballistic missile toward Israel over the weekend. Guys?
All right. Thank you, Trey. Thanks, Trey.
Thank you, Trey.
Subscribe to Black Ophenham Lion TV. I'm the only one that's going to give it to you straight, baby. Tell you that now. And all y'all got to do is hit that Cash App, $ Black Ophenham. $ Black Ophenham, #1 at Cash App. Now, if you ain't got Cash App, throw some stars. Throw some likes, some hearts, share the broadcast. Your presence here is everything. See, we don't steal from the rich. I mean, we don't steal from the poor and give to the rich.
Troops have been injured and 13 killed as the war now enters its 5th week. And overnight, intense bombing in Iran, lighting up the sky in the capital, Tehran, amid more exchanges of fire with Israel and the US, and satellite imagery showing the destruction at a US base in Saudi Arabia after it was hit in an Iranian drone attack, at least 10 American service members injured. Officials telling ABC News at least 2 were seriously wounded and at least 1 tanker damaged in the Friday attack. Altogether, more than 300 American troops have been injured and 13 killed as the war now enters its 5th week. And this morning, even more troops are on the way. Multiple U.S. officials telling ABC News a 3rd U.S. aircraft carrier, the USS George H.W. Bush, is heading to the Middle East. They'll join another 2,200 U.S. Marines set to arrive in the region any day now. And with up to 1,500 paratroopers preparing to deploy too, questions mounting as to whether a ground operation into Iran is imminent. But Secretary of State Marco Rubio, speaking to G7 leaders in France on Friday, saying the U.S. can reach its goals without putting boots on the ground.
And we can achieve them without any ground troops, without any.
Just hours later, President Trump speaking at a Saudi-backed investment conference, calling himself a peacemaker, praising the U.S.-Israeli operation and saying the U.S. is now, quote, just going after targets in Iran.
We have another 3,554 targets left. And that'll be done pretty quickly. And then at some point, we're going to have to determine what we do.
Overnight, Iran reporting more strikes on its nuclear in Iran.
We have another 3,000.
Daily operation and saying the U.S. is now
You know when they lying,
after
lips is moving.
We have another 3,554 targets left. And that'll be done pretty quickly. And then at some point, we're going to have to determine what we do.
Overnight, Iran reporting more strikes on its nuclear facilities and steel factories. Video of the confirmed Israeli strikes posted on social media showing smoke billowing from one of the factories. Just hours later, Iran launching a fresh wave of retaliatory strikes on Israel. Video circulating online showing the moment of a missile impact in Tel Aviv. At least one person killed, a man in his 60s, and multiple others injured. While the death toll inside Iran climbs to at least 1,900. In southern Lebanon, where the IDF says it's widening its ground invasion to create a buffer zone against Iran-backed Hezbollah, more than 1,116 people killed, over 1 million displaced, according to Lebanese authorities, the UN warning it's facing a humanitarian catastrophe.
And with Iran-backed Houthis now joining this war, launching missiles towards Israel from Yemen, there are fears of this conflict expanding. That's despite Special Envoy Steve Witkoff saying that the U.S. is hopeful of having meetings with Iran this week. Rachel.
4 weeks of war, 850 missiles fired, and now the Pentagon is quietly panicking. Here's the story they don't want to lead with. The U.S. buys 90 Tomahawk missiles per year. Last year's budget, 57. In 4 weeks of war with Iran, it fired 850. Do the math. That's 9 years of missiles gone in a month. And the problem isn't just the number. It's what that number reveals about how unprepared the world's most powerful military is for a war exactly like this one.
Damn! What is a Tomahawk?
It's the crown jewel of American long-range strike power. Flies over 1,000 miles. No pilot, no risk, no warning. It can be launched from a destroyer sitting hundreds of miles offshore and hit a target buried deep inside enemy territory with pinpoint accuracy. It's been used in over 2,300 strikes. Iraq, Syria, now Iran. Price tag, $2.2 million each.
See
the
what I'm
advanced
saying?
ship-killing version, over $4 million. And the part that makes this whole situation so dangerous, it takes up to 2 years to build a single one. There is no fast-forward button on that.
No fast forward button. Look out now. How bad is the situation?
Before this war started, the U.S. had an estimated 3,100 Tomahawks in its inventory. 1 month in, more than a quarter are already gone. A Pentagon official described the number of missiles remaining in the Middle East as alarmingly low. Another official went further, warning that without urgent intervention, the U.S. could run out of Tomahawks in the region entirely. That's not a leak. That's a distress signal.
You're running out of bullets. Why can't they just make more?
Because the system was never built for this. On paper, U.S. factories can produce up to 2,330 Tomahawks a year across Raytheon and BAE contracts. But the Pentagon wasn't ordering anywhere near that. They were ordering 90 a year, sometimes less. Because for decades, the assumption was simple. The U.S. would never need to fire missiles faster than it could replace them. A few dozen here, a targeted strike there. Clean, controlled, calculated. Nobody wargamed a scenario where the U.S. is firing hundreds of precision missiles a month into a major Middle Eastern power. And now that scenario is real and the industrial base isn't ready for it. Analysts say full replenishment of what's already been used could take several years. Publicly, total confidence. We have everything we need to execute any mission at the time and place of the president's choosing. That's the Pentagon. The White House backed them up. Stockpiles are sufficient. Production is being accelerated. Nothing to see here. But behind closed doors, emergency meetings are happening right now. Do they pull Tomahawks from other regions of the world, stripping those theaters of their deterrence? Do they pay Raytheon to work nights and weekends? Do they start rationing? All of it is on the table.
The part that should really
This
worry
isn't
you
just
is
about Iran. Military planners have spent years preparing for the nightmare scenario, a Chinese move on Taiwan. And the weapon at the center of almost every war plan for that conflict? The Tomahawk. You need thousands of them. Launched fast, launched continuously from ships and submarines across the Pacific. Those shelves just got significantly emptier. One analyst at the Center for Strategic and International Studies said using 850 missiles leaves a large gap for a conflict in the Western Pacific. That's the quiet part said out loud. New contracts promise to push production past 1,000 missiles a year, but that capacity won't be fully online until March 2028. Until then, the most powerful military on Earth is firing faster than it can reload. That's not just an inventory problem. That's a strategic vulnerability, and America's adversaries are watching every single launch.
It's been nearly a month since the U.S. and Israel launched an attack on Iran. Today, Tehran is still under shelling while retaliatory strikes against Israel slams through the Iron Dome. The fighting has spread further across the region.
People run for cover in Haifa as missiles strike the port. Israel claiming the strikes came from the Iranian-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. Crews in Tel Aviv spent Wednesday clearing rubble from another hit on an apartment block.
We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement.
That is still the White House line. But what is new today is Tehran's public response. No breakthrough and no acceptance of Washington's ceasefire offer.
Do not call your defeat an agreement. The era of your promises is over. Today, there are two fronts in the world, truth and falsehood. And any free seeker of truth will not be deceived by your media waves.
At the same time, people in Tehran are still trying to live normally, even as the war keeps grinding on around them.
War is damaging for everyone. We and everyone else are all being harmed. There is fear. It is holding back business. All of this has happened and we too are being affected, but we have to move in a direction that is in the interest of our country.
And the fallout is no longer confined to Iran and Israel. This footage showing a fire burning at the Kuwait International Airport after a drone hit a fuel tank. Smoke rose over southern Lebanon after Israeli strikes attempt to target Hezbollah. And more casualties reported after an airstrike in western Iraq.
The part is I don't forget shit.
Clear who is behind the hostilities. Iraqi
And I
officials
will be
are
reminding my
the
people.
US.
All your damn lies.
How long will we stay like this? We are losing
That's
our
good
sons
point.
every day.
Good morning.
That widening regional toll is exactly what the United Nations warned about today.
The world is staring down the barrel of a wider war, a rising tide of human suffering, and a deeper global economic shock. This has gone too far.
Diplomatic efforts are continuing. The United Nations has appointed a new envoy to try and push talks forward, while Gulf states are raising concerns at the UN. At the same time, the Pentagon is preparing to deploy about 3,000 soldiers to the Middle East in the coming days. Brandon Rowe, City News.
Fortunately, I called Pete, I called General Kane, I called a lot of our great people. We have great people. And I said, let's talk. We got a problem in the Middle East. We have a country known as Iran that for 47 years has been just a purveyor of terror. And they're very close to having a nuclear weapon. We can keep going and get that 50,000 up to 55 and 60. There's no end. Or we can take a stop and make a little journey into the Middle East and eliminate a big problem. And Pete, I think you were the first one to speak up. And you said, let's do it, because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. So we are now having really good discussions. They started last night, a little bit, the night before that. And I think they're very good. They want peace. They've agreed they will not have a nuclear weapon, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see. You have to get it done. But I would say there's a very good chance. And it began when I said that we were planning tomorrow on shooting down some of their power plants, and we're going to hold that up. Hopefully we won't have to do it. And hopefully we can make a deal that's good for all of us, including the Middle Eastern allies that have been very good to us, including Israel, that's been a great partner in this fight. They've really been a good partner in the fight. They fought hard. But we'll see what happens. I think there's a very good chance we're going to end up in a deal. And so we're giving it 5 days, and then we're going to see where that takes us. And I would say at the end of this period, I think it could very well end up being a very good deal for everybody, as good as if we went all the way and just literally annihilated the place, which if we don't have to do that, that would be a good thing, not a bad thing.
Kim Jong-un says the war with Iran proves North Korea was right.
Did y'all know, you might not know this, but we don't want Trump to die. We only want the barron to die. We want Trump to live and see justice. Because when them Epstein files open up, on top of them 37 felonies, and Barack Obama wind up in the White House, you might be going to jail, homie.
Round of missile tests earlier this month. CNN's Will Ripley has the details.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un walks into parliament with confidence. State media claims he just won re-election by a landslide with 99.93% of the vote. In front of a packed house in Pyongyang, Kim has a defiant message for President Donald Trump. The United States is now resorting to acts of state-sponsored terrorism and aggression. The hostile forces wanted us to make a different choice, preaching a payment for our giving up of nuclear weapons. But the present situation clearly proves our nuclear possession is irreversible. Kim never names Iran. He doesn't have to. His message to Trump is blunt. When diplomacy fails, only brute nuclear force will do. Ever since the Iran war broke out, a string of high-profile North Korean weapons tests. This salvo of cruise missiles fired from Kim's flagship destroyer, the Choe-hyun. Days later, a barrage of what state media calls a dozen nuclear-capable rockets. Kim, joined by his daughter and rumored successor in training, the teenager believed to be named Kim Ju-ae. She's even getting behind the wheel of a brand new tank, with her father riding shotgun. Kim and his daughter busy flaunting their firepower. And Russia praising its anti-U.S. partnership with Pyongyang. During coverage of the Iran war, Russian state TV airing footage of North Korean troops training near the Ukrainian front, glorifying soldiers who chose suicide over capture. A clear signal Russia has North Korea's back. And back in Pyongyang, Kim is honoring families of fallen troops, doubling down on nuclear weapons, and telling his military and his people to prepare for war.
There are still signs diplomacy is not completely off the table. Just this month, South Korea's prime minister sat down with President Trump in the Oval Office, raising the possibility of another meeting with Kim Jong-un. Trump has made it clear he's open to it, and Kim is signaling he could actually be too, but with one condition. North Korea's nuclear weapons are not up for negotiation. Will Ripley, CNN, Taipei.
Today, we commemorate the victims of a staggering crime. Millions of people stolen from their families and communities in Africa, trafficked across the Atlantic, and if they survived the journey, enslaved in the Americas. Millions more were born into bondage, brutally exploited for their labor, and denied their basic humanity. We honor their quiet resilience and courageous acts of open resistance. This global order prevailed for over 400 years and haunts our world even now. In systems and institutions shaped and enriched by chattel slavery, in social and economic inequalities rooted in past injustices, and in biases that permeate our culture and impact us all. On this International Day of Remembrance of the victims of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade, we are called to confront these legacies. By rejecting the false narrative of racial difference and the ugly lie of white supremacy, by dismantling racism, online in the media, in schools, at work, in politics, and within ourselves, and by working for truth, justice, and repair. I welcome the initial steps by some governments to address the consequences of slavery, but far bolder actions by many more member states are needed, including commitments to respect African countries' ownership of their own resources, and steps to ensure their equal participation and influence in the global financial architecture and the UN Security Council. Together, let us commit to a world where all people live and thrive in dignity.
That's the band, y'all. Alvin Keith on guitar. Fried Funk on bass. Super Drummer Tyrone on drums. Yours.
According to the Washington Post database called Fatal Force, 509 people have been shot and killed by the police in the U.S. so far just this year.
You leave. This him, what you take with you. Your black ass been all them motherfuckers at the big house to talk about for the last few hours. Seem like white folk ain't never had a bright idea in their life. It's coming up with all kinds of ways to kill your ass. Now mind you, most of them ideas had to do with fucking with your foreign parts. Now, that may seem like a good idea, but truth is, when you snip a nigga's nuts, most of them bleed out in about 7 minutes. Most of them. More than most. Then I says, shit, fine. The niggas we sell to LaQuint Dickey got it worse than that. And they still saying, let's whip him to death. Throw him to the Mandingo, feed him stone side dog. I said, what's so special about that? We do that shit all the time. Hell, the niggas we sell to LaQuint Dickey got it worse than that. Lo and behold, out of nowhere, Miss Laura come up with the bright idea of giving your ass to the LaQuint Dickey Mining Company. And as a slave of the LaQuint Dickey Mining Company, henceforth till the day you die, all day, every day, you will be swinging a sledgehammer, turning big rocks into little rocks. And when you get there, they're going to take away your name, give you a number and a sledgehammer, and say, get to work. One word of sass, it cuts out your tongue. They good at it too. You won't bleed out. Oh, they does that real good. They're going to work you all day, every day, till you back here. Then they're going to hit you in the head with a hammer, throw your ass down the nigger hole. And that will be the story of you.
According to the Washington Post database called Fatal Force, 509 people have been shot and killed by the police in the U.S. so far just this year. 24% of those were black people. And that's despite the fact that the black population only makes up 13% of the total population of the United States. We want to take a closer look at those numbers. Joining me now is one of the reporters who worked on that database. This is Kimbrielle Kelly, and she's an investigative journalist with the Washington Post. She joins us from our Washington studio. So Kimbrielle, thank you very much for joining us. I'm wondering what inspired you and the Washington Post to start collecting this data?
Well, after Ferguson happened, we realized that the numbers that the FBI were keeping around officers.
Just so y'all know, Ferguson, St. Louis, Missouri. I don't know why they don't just say a St. Louis suburb. I'll say it for them. That's why y'all need me.
Involved shootings, the fatalities, was really very low. And so we took it upon ourselves to track those numbers using—
But I need you more.
Internet sources, public records, and making telephone calls to try to figure out what a more accurate number was. And we found that first year that there were nearly 1,000.
You know what? I need y'all more because you'll be the ones to say that was a black revolutionary. When they put the RBG flag over me, then I am relieved of duty. Until then, I will hold the line.
In officer-involved fatal shootings. And our number was more than twice the number of the FBI numbers. And so we realized that we wanted to take a look at that number in the second year as well. So we continued to track those numbers in 2016.
Somebody's got to hold the line.
So let me ask you the thing that everyone wants to know, which is, are black people being disproportionately killed by various U.S. police departments?
Based on our research, we found that African Americans were disproportionately killed by officers, actually at a rate of 2.5 times greater than those who are white.
Any sense of why that's happening in the data?
That's a big
They hate us.
question.
That's
I think
why.
the numbers speak for themselves.
They
And
never
we
gave
also saw
up
some other trends
Andrew
too. In addition to
Johnson's
the
way
race
of
issue.
thinking.
We also said that
Not
people who were
Jackson,
mentally
Johnson.
ill were a big portion of the victims of those shootings as well.
Now, I understand these type of numbers are not collected by the U.S. government. Why isn't
we're
the government
supposed to cry
collecting this
when they
data,
get killed.
considering
Ain't that
what
some
a
shit?
major political issue this is?
All I've been seeing on my
there is a
Facebook
focus
page
on
today,
collecting the data
fallen
now. So
officers.
the FBI has acknowledged, as you
And,
mentioned,
I guess they
that
forgot.
the system of collecting
shooting
data
down white
was
folks lately.
inadequate.
Y'all better wake the hell up.
You know, having 6% of the
Before you
departments
cheer them on.
report this data, you're not getting a real understanding of
he
what
was
it is. So
resisting.
starting next year, we're supposed to see
He had
more
his face
accurate
down
reporting
to
of
the
not
ground.
only this, but other
He had a
instances
dog on
in
his
which
back.
police officers use force,
2
not just
officers
with,
on his back when he got
firearms.
shot in his
What's been the
back.
response to
Matter of
the
fact,
data
let's
that
go
you
there.
put out on Washington Post? Because I've seen it shared on social media so many times in the past.
Killed by Grand Rapids police, and this morning we're expecting Michigan State Police to continue their investigation into what happened.
We've talked with Johnson's family, neighbors, the Grand Rapids Police Department, and community leaders about what happened. 13 on your sides, Aaron Sullivan live this morning in Grand Rapids. Aaron, good morning to you. What are we hearing from those groups?
Emily Tanner, well, a question from the community this morning is, why did Daquan Johnson have to die? We know that Johnson was riding a bike Tuesday evening after officers stopped him. While attempting to stop him, they said he wasn't complying. Now, Grand Rapids police did share this body camera video saying Johnson ran, so they used a police dog to attempt to stop him. That's when they say Johnson pulled out a gun and an officer shot him. But Johnson's family is sharing a different video this morning, saying he was on his stomach when he was killed.
Well, my son, nowhere in that video was he resisting. I saw somebody laying on their stomach with a dog on their back and 2 police officers behind them. And then I watched them shoot my son 4 times. He wasn't just my nephew, but he was a son.
Executed him.
He was a dad. He was a brother. He was a
And you want us to fight for you? Must be crazy.
Johnson's family, as well as community members and leaders, marched in Grand Rapids calling for justice in Johnson's death. And Johnson's mother, Angelica, says she's still not been allowed to see his body. She's hoping later today she can say her final goodbyes. For now in Grand Rapids,
We don't have to go to war. We've been at war right here. The hell? Now let's go back to this.
Week, I'm wondering what you're hearing.
I mean, it's a really good response. People are happy that there's more accurate reporting. They feel like the racial issue, which can sometimes be talked about in anecdote, actually has numbers to show, as I mentioned, 2.5 times greater the rate for African Americans. So if you take a look at the victims of these incidents, you know, about half of them are white. But as you mentioned, the smaller share of African Americans in this country, around 13%, to have a rate that's 2.5 times greater means that there is a problem. So people are definitely interested in trying to fix this and resolve this, as you've heard from the president, as well as people who are really in policing. And the Department of Justice has taken a huge effort to try to remedy these problems at, you know, problematic police departments as well.
We've certainly gotten the sense this week that the U.S. has hit a boiling point with the violence that we've seen. What are you hoping will happen with your data? What do you hope to achieve with it?
Well, it's already clear that the FBI is making changes. So I think that's a very good first step. You also see the Department of Justice continuing to take a stand and not just suggesting recommended changes to police departments, but really mandating them in courts and being willing to take police departments to courts over these types of violations. And as they work with police departments across the country, they're suggesting changes and mandating them, frankly, for training, for record keeping, for risk management, that they hope in the end of the day will make these better police departments, and that the changes that are made at the bigger departments will in some regards trickle down to the remaining 15,000 to 18,000 police departments across the country.
Majority of these women out here are mothers. That's why we out here. That's why most of us are out here.
Baton Rouge.
My 12-year-old, in his mind, in his heart, ever since he's been 5, he's wanted to be a police officer. It shattered my son's dream because now he does not have the same respect that he had for police. It's changed his mind.
A lot of people are having sleepless nights. I'm one of them. I'm just up thinking about, you know, what if it were my son, my brother?
I'm sitting my 7 and 5-year-old down telling them about police brutality against black men.
And as a mother, it breaks my heart to know that I don't know how to fix this.
We just want justice. That's all. That's all. They said that we're equal, but are we really equal?
Thousands of children began a
week-long
series of protests against segregation in
Rise
Birmingham.
Black
The campaign became known as the Children's Crusade. When the children took to the streets, the local head of the police, Bull Connor, used high-pressure fire hoses and dogs to attack the children, many of whom were arrested. Images of the police violence was broadcast around.
Oh, by the way, for those with short-term memory loss, or as Angela Davis said, you got historical amnesia. Well, here I am to make sure that you don't forget shit.
The world. One photograph captured the moment when a white police officer allowed a large German Shepherd dog to attack a young black boy. The Children's Crusade began at the 16th Street Baptist Church. 4 months after the protests began, the Ku Klux Klan bombed the church, killing 4 little girls: Addie Mae Collins, Carol Robertson, Cynthia Wesley, and Denise McNair. In a moment, we'll be joined by 2 guests to talk about the Children's Crusade in Birmingham. But first, let's turn to the scholar and activist Angela Davis, who grew up in Birmingham. This is Angela speaking in 2013.
And how many of us remember that it was young children, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, some as young as 9 or 10, who faced police dogs and faced high-power water hoses and went to jail for our sake. And so there is deep symbolism in the fact that these 4 young girls' lives were consumed by that bombing. It was children who were urging us to imagine a future that
Don't forget.
would be a future of equality and justice.
That was Angela Davis in 2013. We're joined now by 2 guests. Paul?
That it was more than just segregation, it was inequality. And Reverend James Bevel empowered us as youth to do something about it. And I was willing to do that.
And talk about what you did. Talk about what it meant to take to the streets and the police violence in response.
Well, in the preparation sessions that were held at 16th Street Baptist Church, we had seen film of demonstrations in other places. So I saw people being hit, being called names, and being mistreated for demonstrating.
For being black.
We were told that if you participate, some of this may happen to you, but this is a nonviolent movement and you cannot respond except to pray or sing a freedom song. So I went into it knowing
Not anymore, baby.
there may be some level of danger.
Like Malcolm
but
said,
I was so
we ain't doing
incensed
that.
at
If you raise your hand to one of us, we'll make sure that you don't raise your hand to anyone else.
Whatever was necessary to take steps to change
Black power!
the environment.
Just over 4 months later, the beginning of that children's crusade, the 16th Street Baptist Church was bombed. 4 little girls, 4 young people.
That's what I'm talking about.
Were killed.
One of them was
Cynthia
decapitated.
Wesley. You share the last name of Cynthia Wesley, Janice. Cynthia, explain what happened.
Well, that Sunday morning, I was at the church where I attended, and we had a speaker up. Our pastor interrupted the speaker and announced that 16th Street Baptist Church had been bombed and that there were some casualties.
It's actually,
and that meant
broke the camel's
someone
back
died.
and make me
he said a prayer
the
and he
same day.
dismissed church. Well,
I
when we
went
got
looking
home,
for
people were calling
black
our home.
army to back
We
me
had a
up.
large family.
I had
There
no
were
idea
9
we had
siblings,
Panthers in D.C.
And my mom would not allow anyone
I was ready
else
to do this
answer
shit
the
by
phone.
myself.
And
Just
I
bring
kept
me the
hearing her
hood.
say, no, not our
you
family.